So from code to value. Today I have a pleasure to share with you a couple tips on how to move your internal applications into enterprise market. But before I will get there, let me introduce our team. On the stage with me, we've got Bart, which is going to do the live demo. We would like to be very practical today. On backstage, we've got Irina, which might answer your business-related questions. And myself, my name is Sebastian, and I'm going through a couple of slides just to show you how to prepare your applications for highly isolated and market where you can move your applications. So what we do, we work in GFT, which is on the market for 35 years. We are present in 24 countries and we hire more than 12,000 engineers. We specialize in digital transformations, in cloud migrations. In fact, we created with our clients a couple banks from scratch, including sold in Romania. More recently, we specialize in AI solutions, but generally we cooperate with banks and insurance companies. Next slide, please. So, the story of Wings. Where we started. We've got several development teams in GFT, which are doing the internal development and development for our clients. So, we had several conversations with them, and we checked how AI can help with their day-to-day work. And after several discussions, we find out that most of the time, up to 70% of the time, they are spending on task administrations. So that might sound familiar for some of you, where you work in Agile, you need to go on the ceremonies, many meetings, then you are going to create a task, estimate the task, assign the task, and only that 20 up to 30% of your time you can spend on the coding. So what we decided to do, first internally, is create a project and give the opportunity of our development teams to change that behavior, to give them more time on something which they really like, which is the coding. So what does it mean is they can choose one of the coding assistants, Copilot, Gemini, or Amazon Q, and they can focus on high quality code and leave with our product, which is called Wings, for all of the task automations. Over the journey, we will show you how it does work in practice. So mostly we work with SDLC. So this is the software development lifecycle. And let me very quickly introduce how it does work. So we've got an idea. And that idea first you should test in your POC environment. After you are done with POC, and that makes sense, you will go with the proper development. Then you should go through the testing phase, for example, into QA, with your user check if that really makes sense, and finally go to productions. And if you've got some bugs or you would like to introduce new feature, this is working in a cycle. So we'll come back and repeat exactly the same process. So that's how we start with the Wings, very slowly. So first we were trying to help with Agile. So how does it work? With Story Creator, we are helping to create a story, and with Story Estimator, we are going to help with the estimations. All of that Bart is going to show you on the live demo, so I will just briefly cover what we did and how we've done it. Then we've got the code reviewer and code fixer. Those are the two modules which might help with the high quality coding. You will see how practical that can be. And finally, code documenter to produce a lot of documentations and couple modules for testing purpose. Okay, so how to start? Where, if you are talking about the startups, typically it will be time to market. So you would like to grab some functionality and release it as soon as possible. But in our case, when we cooperate with banks, and we know that what is really important is the security factor. So you cannot just release whatever you want because that might put in danger your reputation, but as well your client. So instead, first you should create like stable and strong foundation. Foundation which is going to go and stay with you over the whole cycle. So you can produce more functionality, but the principles should stay with you for the whole time. In our case with Wings, for banks mostly, we are talking about the zero trust. Our infrastructure is very modern, so we are using microservices. we've got extended observability, so logging, monitoring, tracing, and as well something called zero trust, but as well human in the loop. So for critical systems, we need to make sure that there is a human, which, for example, we take care about the releases to productions. So always remember about that part. Next slide, please. So very quickly, diagram and architecture. Where we are with Wings is we are the cloud and LLM agnostic. What does it mean? We are able to implement Wings on any of the public cloud providers. Either it will be GCP, Azure, or AWS, but as well in the private data center on the OpenShift. Additionally, the same applies for LLM, so we are able to integrate with the biggest modules like Claude, Gemini, or GPT, but thanks to Olama driver, we are able as well to integrate with your own modules. So why it is important? Enterprise companies are currently based at least in the data center and usually in one or more cloud. So with Wings, we are ready for it, and comparing to competitors, we don't have any product logging. That's why we can use Wings for the enterprises. But how does it work? On the left-hand side, you can see there is a request. So let's assume this is your existing CI/CD system, like Jenkins, GitHub, or any other systems, and you've got the pipeline. So let's assume you would like to do the test automations for the code which you just produced. So from the job, you will reach our API, and API is going to first touch preprocessors. In the preprocessor, we are going to check if everything is correct. If, for example, there is no malicious code, like prompt injections, if all of the mandatory fields are correct, and if so, only then we will reach LLM. So on that stage, you can see we can save some money because we are not using LLM for everything. Our security, we handle in the code. Then the same applies for post-processor. After you reach the answer, sometimes we still need to bother with the hallucinations. So let's assume this is expected is the JSON format. If there is something wrong with the syntax, you can, on the post-processor, detect that and ask LLM to generate it again. For the second time, usually, we are fine. And you will receive response, and in your pipeline, you can move on and execute the test. So that's, moreover, how all of the modules will work. With that framework, you can achieve... please come back to the previous slide. So those are the principles which you should follow. I've got the questions. Have you ever heard about COBOL? That's the language. So please raise the hand if you heard about it. Okay, I can see a few of them. So actually, COBOL was produced more than 50 years ago, and it's still in use in many banks as a core systems. So we've got many questions. How can we modernize our core infrastructure to something new? And actually, we created in Wings module called Legacy Transformer. Bart is going to show you in details how smart, in the smart way, you can transfer COBOL into Java-based application. And last thing, AI agents. With Wings, we are ready for AI agents, because at the top of the frame which we build, we have to just add one more service. That will be MCP server. So without changing any of the existing modules, any of the code, we can give the power of AI agents, just simply putting that adapter. So basically, MCP server is going to expose the functions, and AI agent will consume it. So you can achieve a companion. Let's assume you would like to have AI agents which is going to do the testing. So through the process which I just described, you can easily do it. And finally, last slide before we'll go with the live demo, is the success story. So Wings is implemented now on the many client sites, and one of the big clients, which is called Bradesco, gave us the feedback after being in production for some time. that with Wings, they are able to generate documentation as often as they want. And why it is important? For the big clients, you can have several teams, and if they can switch directly and very fast to another project, having known documentation standardizations, then basically they can start delivering the work very quickly. This same applies for code reviewer and code fixer. Thanks to Wings, they are producing like very high quality code with less bugs, and they can release more often. Thank you. So now the time for live demo, so over to Bart.
Guys, keep your fingers crossed because this is 100% live, there is no recording, so I am dumb enough to make it, or brave enough, it depends. Okay, so let's go with the tool. We are going to start with the UI part of the tool because we are aiming in a lot of groups, let's say, in our projects. So basically, we've got the parts that are dedicated for the software developers. We've got the parts for the guys who are mostly working with the backlog, and also we've got parts which has to be fully integrated into our CI/CD. So basically, let's start with the story creator. So this talk is mostly about how to employ AI to do the job that we as a software developers or as a people in general doesn't want to do. So firstly, I really don't like to spend my time working with, let's say, a backlog design, making stories and so on. So I'm going to make it from scratch with the AI. So I'm going to put some story here. We are on DevTalks. We are going to be synchronized with my repository. And obviously with the backlog, we are going to start from an epic. So we are taking our LLM, because usually we work with LLM if we want to speed up something, and we are starting the process. So here, in a few moments, we should receive something like the base for our backlog, which is going to be a few epics. And as Sebastian said, we are also aiming here in the quality. So we are designing our prompts here in the tool to, let's say, have the similar output all the single time that we want to use the tool. So we've got a few epics. We can take this one, for example. And obviously, we work with the LLM. So the better input is going to be for the LLM, the better output we are going to receive. So this is going to be structured every single time in the same way because of prompts. But anyway, LLM can do some modifications. Then we can create features, and it is great for people who are not exactly technical because the tool is just guiding them through all the steps. And basically, we are following the structure of our board. So if you are working with Jira or if you are working with the DevOps, you don't have to think about how it looks like in practice because the tool is just going to guide you through all the steps that you need to have to implement it properly. So we are on the features right now. Once again, the better input, the better output. We are here with the demo, so I don't want to make LLM cry. And we can create user stories here. And behind the scenes, we've got also a tool called Story Estimator, which is going to give us the estimation of how many story points we are going to use to implement this kind of feature. So I'm pretty sure that you spent really a lot of time during the poker meetings when you were trying to guess how many story points it will take to implement it. Here, we are trying to avoid it because we are just basically wasting our time here. And we've got a few stories here. So we've got the story points, we've got acceptance criteria, and every single time when we are working with this tool, so imagine you've got different analysts in your company, every single backlog is going to be created exactly in the same way. So what we can do right now, we can take it, and we can synchronize it with our board, which is for today Azure DevOps board. And let's see if something here arrived. Yeah, so there is something. I think the rest is going to come in a moment. But basically, what I want to point here that we are not wasting our time working with the backlog. Yeah, so we are not wasting our time to, for example, type everything into the Jira to link it properly and so on. Basically, it's that one click and we are almost ready to go. So if you are going to take a look, we've got some validation here. Everything is filled with the DevOps correctly. And if you are going to take a look in our tool, it is going to be also the same. So this is the part for a non-technical people or for the people who works with the backlog. But obviously, my background is a software development, so I would like to show you something for the software developers as well. Other tools can be also used through the UI. But normally, I really don't want to leave my IDE or leave my Visual Studio to put my code somewhere. It just doesn't make sense for me, especially when we've got Copilot and other boosters of our effectiveness. So I am going straightly to Visual Studio. There is a simple Java project. I am a .NET developer, so I don't know too much about Java. So I can use AI to explain what's going on around here. So we can just create the documentation of this class. We've got a bunch of prompts that we can select here. We are using Java, and we can use Claude, for example, as LLM provider. I think that Claude works good with the documentation. Is it visible for you guys here? It's okay? Raise your hand, thumbs up. It's okay, cool. So in a moment, we should have documentation here. There we go. And also, the part, we are having those prompts, so our documentation is structured every single time in the same way. So basically, if you are going to ask Copilot about the documentation, it will be different. In this case, to achieve the same result with Copilot, we would need to have 300 lines of prompt. So no one wants to write 300 lines every single time when he is doing his prompt. And here, with a few clicks, we've got everything included, and every single guy in our project is going to receive it in the same way. So the same with the test creation. I can create simply unit test here. It is going to be for Java, might be Claude as well. And same story, I was playing with Copilot for a bunch of time, and I was not able to receive results that were satisfying. So there was always some problems with mocking and other things. We decided to boost it a little bit, so you can still use Copilot, you can still play around it with Copilot, but before you are starting to play with Copilot, we are giving you the tool that is going to give you a good base for playing. So basically, when we are having those prompts included here, we are receiving better results. So it's mocked better from the beginning. It's, in general, just almost ready to go. So we've got our unit tests here, and it's depending also on the LLM. So one, for example, Claude is trying to put their tries, so we will need to refactor it. With the GPT, for example, it works definitely better. So these are tools more or less for developers. I will dive into one more in a moment, but firstly, I would like to show you also the tools which are designed to work with our CI/CD. So I'm going just to trigger it from Postman. I'm just hit the send button, and I will tell you why I did it. So basically, this tool is designed to be plugged into our CI/CD pipeline. The tool is called Code Fixer, and at the high level, what it does, it is taking the scan from the Sonar Cube. So this is my Java repository connected with Sonar Cloud in this case. It is doing some scans, so we've got some issues that can be found. Let's check what we've got here. Okay, this is the easy project, so there won't be many. In real life, we will have definitely a bunch of them. So we are taking the report, which is delivered. Then we are asking the LLM what we can do. So we've got our code repository. We've got the report, which is saying that something is wrong with our code. And basically, we should have a possibility to employ our LLM to fix the problem. And basically, we are doing that. So as the result of this job, let me check if it's still going or it already arrived. As the result of this job, I should receive a pull request, which is basically fixing all the problems that were raised by the sonar. So, I mean, it is a little bit longer in terms of process, but it really doesn't matter. I think that this kind of pipeline won't be triggered every single time when we are pushing something into our code repository. I would say it is going to be rather during nightly regression, so every single morning that we are going to wake up and grab a coffee, we can take a look what happened and see whether those problems were addressed or not. So we are here. Hopefully it arrived. Okay, it doesn't. So if it doesn't, I can show you the previous one because I did it already for a bunch of time. So we've got those changes addressed automatically by the LLM. So once again, this is just a demo, so the example is rather simply. But in general, I think that's really a good starting point. So if you don't want to spend that many time on reviewing your reports with Sonar and seeing what can be fixed, you can just employ AI and it does it for you automatically. So from our side, we just need to review the code and see whether we should approve it or not. And another different tool, which is kind of interesting, and I really love it as a software developer, it's a tool called Code Reviewer. So this is the output from Code Reviewer created by our tool. And basically, if you are talking about software developer, the average software developer, and his description of pull request, he will finish in a good way, he will finish there. And that's going to be the end of the whole story about the changes that he did. In our case, when we are employing AI to make it for us, we are receiving every single time better result than it's delivered by the person, let's say. So here we've got the description, we've got the summary of changes in every single file. So this is something which is kind of useful for us. Recommendations for the reviewer and explanation of potential problems that we had with our code. And we have it if we plug it into our CI/CD, we are going to have it in every single pull request that we are raising in our application. So that's going to be part about the CI/CD. And now I'm going to jump again into my Visual Studio Code, and this part, as far as I know, is the most interesting for all the guys that I'm talking. And we are going to just jump into the COBOL code. So in general, I think it doesn't matter if it's visible for you or not, because no one can understand it easily, let's say. Or maybe there is someone who knows COBOL. Okay, they already died, so there is no one here. Yeah, so we've got this COBOL code. For me, it's really hard to understand what's going on here, even if I've got the software development expertise. What I can do, I can use the same tool to let me understand what's going on here. So I'm just going to create documentation once again with the prompt. This time it's going to be COBOL. I am using Cloud because I like it. And in a few moments, we should receive the explanation of the file that we are currently looking at. So let's wait for a moment, and it should be understandable. Okay. And in the meantime, I will just start to say why we should use this tool instead of Copilot. Okay, so we are having the description. The tool, like this class, is used to add new or administrator user to the system. This is the COBOL structure, so the naming convention is also not very helpful for normal people. And here we've got the description and we've got also the dependencies. So we know which files are dependent on each other. So the potential transformation of this code to the normal one would be easier for us. Okay, so let's go to the tool. I already triggered it before the demo, so I've got the result here. It took 3 to 5 minutes, so I didn't want to put it there just to stay and waiting until the wheel will be rolling again. So we are having here different behavior. So normally, if you are going to ask Copilot about the COBOL code, so you are going to prompt something like, this is the COBOL code, let's transform it to the Java code. You are finished with Jobol. So basically, the file extension will be Java. The code inside also will be Java, but in fact, it is going to be still COBOL, but written in Java. Here we are doing it in a different manner. So this is this part. We are trying firstly to understand what the code does. Yeah? So this is the output of legacy transformer. It is definitely more rich than the simple documentation that we've been creating for even that COBOL file. So we've got here the business rules, we've got some validations, dependencies, data structures, more known for COBOL developers than for me, and some other pieces. But what's important here, firstly, we are trying to understand what the system does. So we are extracting the business rules, and we are trying to understand what we should do for the customer. So here we've got those business rules. Okay, I'm going to export them for now. Let me just select a few of them, maybe not all. Okay, so export selected. This is more friendly, for sure. And here we can decide. So basically, we've got our business rules. So we've got, let's say, the explanation of what the system should do for now. And we can decide whether we are going to have the same system, or we can here modify it and align it to our current times, because I'm pretty sure that if you are playing with the COBOL system, it's rather not new. It's rather older than you, so possibly the behavior should be different. And we can create the code from here. So we are going to use Spring Boot. We are going to use develop code and Claude as well. So in a few moments, we should receive a part of normally written Java code. So the Java code which is following the solid rules, the Java code which is object-oriented. So basically, it is Java code from our current times. And we did a POC for one of the banks in Brazil. Basically, we took the part of the system, took the code base of this part, transferred it using also this tool to Java. Then we plugged it back and checked whether it still works or not, and it did. So looks like it did the trick. For now, okay, I have to wait until he will finish processing. Also, Claude is not the fastest one, but I'm pretty sure that the results are going to be better than with GPT. And we've got like the base of our system in Java. So what we can do with that, we can even save it. And we can, for example, create a test for the system to have everything, let's say, with a good practices. And this time it's going to be in Java. Let's use this time GPT, maybe it's going to be faster. Also, I can include some reference files, so if you have some coding conventions in your company or you are writing tests in some manner, it will be taken into consideration by the LLM. Yes, so we are just going to wait until this code will arrive. We will have tests. And basically, that's everything that I wanted to show you for today. Maybe that's a good time for some questions, if you have. And I don't see.
All right. Thank you, Sebastian. That was great. I mean, I've seen it before. I was impressed. I'm still as impressed. Also impressed that you took the time to create the libraries and all the tool set for it.
Yeah, so there was really a lot of prompt engineering to, let's say, have something which is behaving in the same way every single time. Because normally, when we are working with LLMs, it's not super deterministic, so we've been fighting a lot with them to have the deterministic way of implementing it, yeah.
Do we have questions? We're taking one question. All right, we have one right there.
Hello. I've seen in your designer tool where you're building the epics and the features, there were no prompting input. I mean, what if I don't like the result and I want to add more prompting, or I want to ask to create acceptance criteria? Do you have the option to do
yes,
more?
so you just want to have, you just have to align the prompt. So basically the prompts for us are opened. So if you want to have this tool with different behavior, you are just changing the prompt and you can have different structure, yeah?
Okay, then, so I cannot collaborate on the results. I need to regenerate everything.
So if you want to create epic, then change something and then regenerate it. So
yes, I see the epics, I see the features, I got some user stories, for example. I want other format of the user stories because...
yeah, so in general, you can load those prompts, yes? So you can load more than one prompt for an epic. So then if you want to create epic in a different manner, you can just change the prompt and use different one to have different results, yeah?
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you. So thank you so much. We owe Bart as well a big round of applause. So Bart and Sebastian, thank you so much for your presentation.